Good evening. Good evening, Spiritual Life Center. Hi. I don't want to yell. Welcome to our Wow Wednesday, another very special evening among many special evenings at Spiritual Life Center. So this evening, we are going to have an interview with Sawako Ama, who is half of the ensemble Kohaku. How many of you are coming to the Mystic Cafe? Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I want to just tell you a little bit. There's a little bit of a surprise happening this evening, and that is that we're going to have an interview with Sawako for the first half of the evening, and then we're going to move to the back of the room there, and we are going to experience a Japanese tea ceremony. So we'll enjoy that. And I guess during the course of the interview, I'll be able to have Sawako share with you some of the beautiful things that she's doing at her temple. And so, just a couple of housekeeping things. Well, not housekeeping, but I wanted to let you all know about the World Day of Prayer that's happening on September 11th. And that is going to be a Wow Wednesday evening, a special evening of prayer. And we are collecting prayers. And you might have noticed that very colorful tree in the courtyard. So there are some papers in the on the mezzanine in the lobby that you can write your prayer on and put that on the tree. And the chaplains will pray over that over the next month. So, and then we'll have a ceremony, a World Day of Prayer ceremony on the 11th of September. And I also want to let you know that the chaplains will be holding a healing circle, as they always do, after the service tonight, and it will be in the chapel across the way if you'd like to go there, because in the annex we have a beautiful exhibition of clothing. If you didn't get in there, Sawako will be in there after service as well. So these are beautiful hand-dyed, hand-woven clothes, organic hemp and cotton clothing that is just beautifully made. So make sure you go and look at that. Is the healing circle after the tea or after the talk? It's after the tea. That the tea ceremony is part of the usual Wednesday evening. So without further ado, so we can talk as much as possible with Sawako, please welcome. So hello, Sawako Ama.
Hello.
I'm just going to let this unfold organically because I don't think I've ever interviewed anybody before.
Oh, really?
I don't think so. But I do know that there's 4 topics that I would like to touch on with you, so you can help me keep on track. You can all help me keep on track. I'd love to hear about, I think we'd all love to hear about your growing up in a Buddhist temple.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear about your beginnings, how that led into your inspiration, into your art, into your dance. We want to definitely hear about Temple Kukuri, which you have opened Buddhist temple in Fair Oaks, and also your body work. You're a certified cranial sacral
massage therapist,
and breath work. So we'd love to hear some about that too.
Sure.
So let's start with your beginnings in Japan in a Buddhist temple.
Let's see. I grew up in Kagoshima. That's south part of Kyushu Island in Japan. Kyushu Island is in the south part of whole Long Island. And then my parents were running the temple. It's a Buddhism temple. Yeah, so in Japan, it's a long lineage of if you are a temple people, your whole families are temple people. So it's not like here. So my great-grandpa, great-great-grandpa, everybody was the temple keeper. And then I grew up in this old temple in Kagoshima, and then it was, everybody thinks that it's, if you are growing up in the temple, that you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, goes to the temple, and then clean. And then that's what everybody thought, but I grew up pretty normal life there. And then my parents were very out-of-the-box people, so they were keeping the tradition, and at the same time, they were really open to all new traditions or creating the traditions. So I grew up in the Buddhist temple. That the only difference, big difference, that I would say that the growing up in the temple and then growing up in the regular house was just always there are so many people in the house or in the temple. So there are people come and goes. So it was all huge, big community there that I grew up.
And what were some of the traditions that were happening in the temple?
Just like a church here, there are services every day in the morning. And in my brother's temple, now my brother took it over. My brother's temple has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 priests. So they're taking turn doing the services. And then in Japan, the Buddhism temple, the whole the main thing that priest does is a funeral. It's kind of it's a tradition, and also it's I would say it's a good part and then bad part, because everybody calls it funeral Buddhism, which means they only do funeral but not really spiritual work. So the temple, the whole purpose of temple is to practice the spiritual path, and then also honoring the ancestors, and then honoring the natures. And then we do a lot of chanting. And then at my brother's temple, it's different mission than the Zen temple, Zen Buddhism. There are so many different missions. And then ours were one of the kind of not strict, I would say. So you can eat meat except a few days of the year. And then you can marry. And then they were, so that was the main work of the temple. So we have the chanting services.
So that's what the daily service was about, is it chanting? And
Yeah, mostly chanting, and then the preaching from the priest. Yes. And then all through the years, we have special events at the temples, and most of them were something that to welcoming the spirits who have passed, the people who have passed away, the spirits, welcoming the spirits, bringing into this world from the other world. And then we do the chanting and then showing our appreciations.
Interesting. So how would you say that, what are some of the elements of that upbringing that led you into the arts and into your path that you went on?
The biggest influence was my father. My father was an artist. Actually, most of the priests and priestesses in Japan, they are artists. And originally, the temple was the center of the community. So the priest was doing the whole work as a doctor, as a therapist, as an artist, and everything. So that was part of their work. And then my father was an entrepreneur too, and then artist. He was a great painter. Although I didn't know that part of him until I became an adult. But he influenced me because he was doing so many things that's not traditional, but with art at the temple. For instance, he invited opera singers, rock bands, and they're just like here, right? So they're playing at the temple. That's usually don't happen, but now many temples are opening up to that too. Yeah.
All right. So then, how did you get your start in the dance?
The dance, I always loved dancing since I was a child, but I actually probably I loved the music first. So my mom took me to a piano lesson, so classical piano. So I was trained in classical piano first, and then it was so much time and effort was involved into this piano training. I didn't get to do so much other things, and my sister went to dance classes, and I was so envious. But I didn't know how I loved dance. But I went to the dance class with her, but I was just watching. And then it was sitting into my heart for a long time, and then I didn't really pursue that passion until I went to a college in Japan. Yeah.
And at what point? When did you come to the United States?
I came 19 years ago, right after I graduated from a college in Japan.
And what drew you to the United States?
I went to Rudolf Steiner College, the Waldorf School teacher training college in Fair Oaks. So first my friend was there, and then she called me from the Steiner College, and she said, "I'm going to this school, and then it's called Rudolf Steiner College, and I have never heard of Rudolf Steiner or Waldorf School." So I said, "So what are you going to do there?" And she said, "Well, dancing, pottery, singing, poet, and all the things I want to do." So I said, "I'm coming." So I came here.
That was a good choice.
Yeah.
That was a good choice. And then, how did that move into dancing professionally?
Well, being a professional dancer wasn't my goal. I was just doing what I loved, and then when I noticed I was a professional dancer. So I don't know what point I became a professional dancer, but let's see. The very, very first dance I did publicly for audience was 15 years ago as a belly dancer. That was the first performance I did.
So I know that you have studied a lot of different forms of dance and the traditions that are involved with the dance and the
Yes.
spirituality about that. So can you share a little bit about that with us?
So I started with, actually the very first dance I learned was when I was high school, high school. It was a modern dance, but taught by a 65-year-old teacher, so it was very old style jazz. And then at the college, I took a real jazz funk dance, and then I really loved it, and then that's when I started actually yoga too. So my teacher was an American teacher, and then that really brought me the spiritual practice part of it. And then the interesting is that I wasn't really interested in anything to do with the Buddhist religion, sacred dancing back then. I was almost kind of rejecting against it because growing up in the temple, I saw the beautiful part of the religion, and then also not beautiful, or it doesn't make sense in my brain. Right? So the first dance was just moving the body and then just enjoying it. And then when I got into a belly dance, because the belly dance was originally from Middle Eastern culture, and then it was so tied into women's body, and also the sacred dances from Persia, sacred dances from the Middle Eastern cultures too. So I started to learn Persian dance and also the sacred dance from the Egypt, and also I was very interested in learning Odissi dance from Eastern India. And then during that time, I was seeking what my purpose of living here, and then what do I do to express myself. And then I was seeking the spiritual path, and then I started to meet all these Buddhism teachers. And then that's when I started to meditation. I learned so much things about Buddhism, which I never knew growing up in the temple.
That's interesting. I think that's true for many of us. You know, we have the religion of our upbringing, and we have to oftentimes extract ourselves from that and then return to it with a new eye after having explored, which is what this community is certainly about.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say. Would you not agree? Yes.
And my parents were interesting because they knew the difficult part of being a priest and then being religious person, public religious person, and then everybody sees you as a priest or the model of, perfect person if you're a priest. It's hard life.
Pretty hard calling.
So they were really wonderful people, but they were struggling too. And then they didn't want that struggle to their children. So they didn't force us. I have a brother and sisters. They didn't force us to attend the temple services if we don't want to. But I followed my grandma always to do her services and enchanting. So they never really taught us what the Buddhism is. This day is the special day, and then when people die, this is what you do. They never taught me, so when my friends at school asked me, okay, so when people die, where do they go, and why do you do the funeral? And I have no idea. I said, I don't know. I said, you don't know? You're growing up. You're growing up in the temple. Your parents are the priest. Why you don't know? Because I don't know. So I learned that when I became adult.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So how did you get into doing the body work, the breath work? Was that an outpouring or like a natural succession from?
Yeah, well, being a dancer, your body is like the most important thing. And
Your temple.
Yes, it's a temple. You have to take care of it. But I had a very bad back since I was like in my early 20s. And then when I was dancing, every once in a while, I throw my back out, and then I couldn't walk for 3 days, like a few times a year, and then I thought, this is not good, because I do want to dance. I do want to dance as long as I want to, and then I do want to take care of my body. And I was very interested in it. When I was in college, I was interested in learning the medicine and then the natural medicine healing arts. So I decided to go to a massage school so I can learn, and then I can learn the self-care first. And then I went to the massage school. I was so loving learning about my body. So I got so into it. And then again, my goal wasn't being a professional body worker, but I just became a body worker.
Yes, I think from my experience of going to see people, I would say probably a very high percentage of people that are in the healing arts got into the healing arts to heal themselves first.
Yeah,
I think that's quite a common path.
I think
to
so.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. I can't see what the clock says. Okay, 20 after. So when did you open Temple Kukuri in Fair Oaks?
It's almost exactly 2 years ago. I opened it in Fair Oaks Village. and it's a non-denominational church. We call it Holistic Living Sanctuary. So the reason that I opened it because I was renting an office as a body worker, and then I was teaching dancing, I was teaching cooking at the food co-op. So I was all scattered around, and then I was driving so many places to teach and then enjoy my work. And then I was kind of envisioning just one place that I can just stay, get grounded, and then do all the things that I want to do. And just because I grew up in a temple, and then my father's vision was also, the temple becoming a community place that everybody can just come in and then just breathe, right? So that's what I was envisioning too. And then I found a really beautiful place, and then that's how I started.
And so I think everybody might be interested to. There is a mailing list if you'd like to get on the mailing list to receive information about the Temple Kukuri and the events that happen there. You can sign up for that if you'd like. And so one of the things that you do there that we're going to get a little taste of this evening is a traditional Japanese tea ceremony.
Yeah.
So maybe it might be good if you, before we go there to the tea ceremony, if you'd like to tell us a little bit about that, the tradition of it,
Sure.
and maybe the practicality of it.
Yeah. So tea ceremony started from the temple in Japan. The tea tradition came from China, and then all the religious practices came from China. So they brought the green tea, back from China, and then they started to drink the green tea at the temple. So some people says that the green tea have caffeine, there's very strong caffeine, right? So in the Zen temple, they are doing very strict practices, and then they're not sleeping, like probably they sleep 3-4 hours a day, every day. So, and then when they do a meditation, they fall asleep. So they were using a green tea to just wake them up. So that's one purpose of it. So, and then now the Japanese culture, they want to do everything right. So they started to making everything, little things, in the right movement, right timing. So everything became a ritual. So it's all mindfulness in every single movement. And then the tea is all about being in the present moment and then serving a guest. And then also in tea room, always there is a seasonal thing because we really, we honor nature. And then in the spirituality in Japan, especially in the Shintoism, there is the honoring of the nature because we're part of it. And then when we're honoring the nature, we're honoring ourselves, and then we're honoring the ancestors. So in the tea room, we have flower that represents the seasonal flower. And then the tea confection, you eat right before you drink tea. So tea is pretty bitter. You don't put the sugar in the tea, never. Even any green tea. So we have the sweets first, and then you take the green tea. And then sweet is also representing the seasons too. And at our temple, I make my own sweets because you cannot buy the seasonal tea confections anywhere. So I make it. But today it's one is the thing that I made for summer confection. And then the other one is from my hometown, from Kagoshima. So you can enjoy the sweets, seasons in the sweets, and then you taste the bitter tea afterwards. And then now the caffeine affects you. And then if you're very sensitive to the caffeine, I have a non-caffeine mulberry tea, which tastes just like a green tea. But in this country or in Japan, maybe all over the world, the caffeine is so misused. It's like it's a drug, right? It's a herb, and then it's a medicine. If you do it right, you will get this energy, a boost up. But if you're not using it right, it's just going up and down, just like a roller coaster, whole day through. Now, when you're having the tea and then the caffeine in the way that you're fully putting your 120% awareness and then really feeling what's going into your body, you will feel the caffeine effects right away, sometimes not. But you can use that caffeine effect not outward but inward. That will bring you more deeper meditation time. So during the tea time, I usually guide people to do a little guided meditation. Otherwise, it's just a torture waiting for tea. And then sometimes you're sitting on the floor and then, hurting your body if you're not comfortable. So today I'm doing easy way because it's not really a full tea ceremony, but I'm just giving you a little teaser too. And then a little meditation, yeah.
Okay, so is there any, but you are having a new moon tea ceremony at Temple Kukuri,
Yeah.
right? What is the date of the new moon?
New moon, next one is the September 1st Sunday, next Sunday actually. It's 3 o'clock. So we do the new moon tea ceremony every month and then full moon drum circle. So new moon tea ceremony, we bring the energy in, and then full moon circle, you put the energy out and then burst.
So I think we're probably just about ready to go there, and we're going to do our offering in between these two parts of the service. Is there any instruction that you'd like to give us, or something we can expect, or will you do that from there?
I will probably do that there.
Okay.
So I will show you how to do handle the cups.
Okay, very good. So at this point, I'd like to maybe take 3 questions if people have a question. Is there anybody that would like to ask? Do you want?
I was just interested where your temple is located in Fair Oaks. I live close to Fair Oaks, so.
It's at the edge of the Fair Oaks Village, Winding Way and Fair Oaks Boulevard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Any other question? No? Okay. So, at this time, then we will take our love offering. So, if you know the blessing of the offering, please speak it with us. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God. So, yeah. I think once the ushers have passed by you, if you'd like to make your way back and take a place in the circle for the tea ceremony, that would be wonderful.
Anybody wants non-caffeine tea? If you guys can sit close together so I can serve, because I'm going to be serving 1 cup and then you're sharing the cup 1 sip at a time. If you want your own cup, let me know. I can do that too.
Okay, so but traditionally the cup is shared.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
There's 2 ways, yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So why don't we have people who want non-caffeine tea to fill in the inner circle on this side, which would be the left side if you're facing going back. Okay? All right. Thank you.
Okay,
I got a sharp
can you
knife. You want me to bring it and you can cut it right now?
or ask? Yeah.
I'll bring it.
Just cut it.
Huh?
Just cut it into small pieces.
Okay.
りえちゃん、羊羹を切らないといけないの人数が多いから、スティーブにちょっと一緒に手伝ってくれる？私ね、25お菓子が今あるんだけど、もっといるから、あと20ぐらいに切ってきて。 Let's see. Go down, down. Right here. Kagoshima, Aira.
Ida. Oh, very good. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Let me know. Who wants your own cup? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Yes, but I will make it work.
Why don't you, maybe you can say there is a cloth to wipe and don't you have a cloth to wipe it? Or how does that work?
Yeah. I will be washing the cup with hot water and then wiping if that's okay. If not, I will just get a cup, a paper cup if that's okay. Now, I have 2 different confections. I will pass this paper first. And this is called kaishi pepper. And this is going to be your plate and napkin. So I will pass this. So take one and then pass it. So here's the order. I will be passing sweets first, confections. The first confection actually is Kohaku to. Kohaku means actually our performing art group is Kohaku too. It means amber. Today's amber is blue amber, and it looks like a jewel, stone, gemstone. And this is like a agar-agar sugar ball. And anybody allergic to sugar? You don't get this. So this is the agar-agar water and sugar, and then it's a vegetable food coloring. And since we have more than 27, I have only 27 of Kohaku, and then I have another one, it's sweet potato jello. So take either one. So we have enough. So I will just pass this around. And then just hang on to it. I will let you know when to eat the sweet. If you want the sweet potato one, just wait for it. And then the first part of tea is always cleaning, so cleansing time. So during this time, I will invite you, all of you, to just sit comfortably. And then meditation is simple but not easy. If you're just sitting and then just waiting to your mind to clear, they don't want to do it. So the make it easy is sitting position is very important. If you are really comfortable position, your mind is not going to go to the muscles it's tightening up. So sitting deep or sitting at the edge of the chair, and your pelvis is nice and straight, so you feel the sacrum, you feel the spine, and then you feel the skull lifted from the ceiling, and you feel the sacrum pulled from the earth. So think about the energies coming from the top of your head and then going through the spine and then going to the sacrum. It's going up and down, up and down. So that way you can, with the breathing, you can cleanse the whole body. So while I'm doing this cleansing part, I will invite you to do a deep breathing through your nose. Inhale. Thank you. And slow exhale from the mouth. And then focusing on the breathing and focusing on the sound that it comes into your ear, every sound you hear. And then you're going to hear a lot of sound in the beginning. And then if you're really paying attention to the sound, you can hear a sound from miles away. And then if you're trying to focus on the sound and miles away, there is a silence in between you can find. So that silence is the powerful time. Sweet potato one. Can you raise your hand if you want the sweet potato? Can you give it to me?
This is the one from your hometown, right?
Yes.
As opposed to the one she made. Sweet potato? Sweet potato? Okay.
Where is the non-caffeine tea? Okay, so those are people. Okay. 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 So I will make the non-caffeine one first. Now the cup has center. The center is determined by a server, and then if I give a cup towards you, this is the center. So you get the center right in front of you. So in the tea or Japanese culture, when you go to the sacred place, usually we avoid center, walking in the center or drinking from the center. So you're going to be turning the cup clockwise twice. And then you're going to have a sip. And then you can wipe. And then wipe with the paper. Wipe with the paper. And then, if you remember, you can bring it back. If you don't, it's fine. And then give it to the next person. And if this is too much, don't worry about it. Just put 100% of your focus in the hands, and then uses all the five senses. And you can smell everything, you can taste everything. And if you're in the present moment, if you're focusing, there's nothing to worry about. The cups is not going to go away from your hands. Okay. And go ahead and have your sweets. So there's about 5 or 6 sips probably. So just take one sip and then it goes to pass to the next person. Or you can finish your sweets. Yeah, I'll put it here. Take your time. So usually you eat the sweets and you finish the sweets first and then you take the tea. And you don't usually do eat, drink, eat, drink, eat, drink. Simple. Let me go sit in the Japanese way so I can. There you go. So each cup has their own story. And tea has their own story. When you're tasting the tea, feeling the cup, you can also use your 6 senses and then just think about where they come from, who's growing the tea. So at my temple, usually at the tea ceremony, I'm on the floor on tatami mat, and water is boiled in iron pot, which is my great grandma's pot that I carried back. So it's a tradition, all priests practice tea. But in my generation, not everybody did. But my father, my grandmothers were all tea teachers. Now who is going to be the next one? I'm going to go. Who wanted the cup? Who wanted the old cup? There's 2 tea ceremonies. One is called usucha, which is what I'm serving. Usucha, cha is tea, usu means thin, so this is actually a thin tea. Now we have a thick tea. It's called koicha. And then that's really thick. It's like almost like a muddy consistency. And then if that's only when you're practicing tea, you get to drink it. If you are not practicing, you probably don't get to drink that thick tea. It's not common. So I'm gonna go to a regular tea. This is called kyoyaki. This is a Kyoto ceramic. They usually do a paint. And then each bowls come from different places. Thank you. So this is a real matcha green tea. And this is also from my hometown. Kagoshima is very famous for green tea. And this is organic and my favorite. If you're drinking matcha green tea in a smoothie or at home, you probably feel the different taste. And every matcha powders are so different. Many of the good matcha green teas from Kyoto. Well, this is actually from Kagoshima in the south. And then organic matcha green tea is not so popular in Japan yet because the Western interest are bringing into the green tea. So I see a lot of, thank you, organic green tea from China, and then some from Japan too. But I never had a good one. I don't know why. I love organic, but not for the green tea. Yeah, I don't know what is wrong with the green tea. Growing green tea is so difficult, especially for matcha green tea. There's so much care into it. But I finally found a really good organic matcha green tea, so I was so thrilled. And once you get this green tea, I would like you to smell first and take that scent into your lung. Okay, I'm going to pass this, and then I will make the green tea for the own cup people later. So while you're waiting, or if you already had your tea, if you can close your eyes, you probably can smell the tea smell from there. the real. Green tea, go ahead.
This side hasn't, there's only one bowl that's been passed on this side. You're aware of that, right?
Yes. So there's more balls coming. You want your own cup, right? I can make your own cup if you. This is for passing around. You want? Okay, again, can you raise your hand? You want? Can you raise your hands if you want the own cup and you still want the green tea? Yeah, okay. So there is a big difference in the Japanese culture and Western culture as far as art go. If we talk about flower arrangement, you will see the big difference in there. It's easy. When you are arranging the flowers in the Western culture, Western flower arrangement way, you're filling the spaces with flowers. But in Japanese culture, in ikebana, it's a Japanese traditional flower arrangement, we create spaces with flowers. So that's a really big difference. Now in the Western culture, or in Japan even, in the Asian culture, so many people are being afraid of silence. We call it seijaku, or we call it ma. So ma is something in between. But there's nothing in between the things like that. Let's talk about the music. If you're hearing the music, there's notes. And then what you're hearing is not just the notes, but you're hearing the spaces between the notes. And then there's so much emotion and so much artistic expressions, not on the note, but in between them. And we call it ma, it's spacing. There's nothing there, but everything is there. And when I bring the scroll, it's called mu. It means nothingness. So nothingness, but there's everything in it. So that's one of the big themes of our temple too. So when you're doing the Japanese cultural thing like tea or flower arrangement, there is things that we learn about ma. So when you're doing the meditation, we usually practice to focusing on one thing, breathing or sound or feeling. And then you're starting to grab all those sensations and distractions. And between those distractions, you'll find that ma spaces. There's nothing, but there's everything in there. So if you grab that space, ma, and that ma spaces becomes longer and longer when you start to be quiet and mind. And then that's when the meditation the most powerful part of the meditations in there. And then your mind, if you try to quiet the mind, you can't do it, but if you are being in that space, being that ma, if you grab that ma, you're already there. So you're not trying, and then you're already there in that zone. And then you're doing the meditation. So in 2 weeks, my Japanese performing group, Kohaku, are performing here with the Edo Ensemble. So when you have a ticket, you get to see that ma in between the singing and then in between the movements. Okay, so one for you, and then one for you. Anybody wants your own cup or more tea? Yeah. You want one more? Yeah. I just had a sip. So when you're aware of that ma, the space, nothingness, you will see the art so different with the different eyes, and then you will really enjoy that space, and then you can see the whole art in a different way. So when we're sitting in the tea room waiting for the tea, it's all about waiting, and then it's all about the silence. But when you're just waiting, there is silence outside, but in your mind there's no silence. And then, so that's why we're always going into the breathing or something. Just find something that your mind goes to, and then you get distracted to, and then you'll find the silence in between, and then you're going to be bringing that silence longer and longer and then longer, and then you can sit in total silence. So tea, when we're practicing the tea, it's all about precise movement and respect. So when we're doing it, we have to be grounded, and then we have to be in the present moment. Otherwise, you'll forget everything, because there's so many things that you have to remember to do. And then each season, movement changes. So I've been learning for 6 years now, but I'm still completely beginner.
Is there one person in your seat and then your guests are not part of
The serving?
the ceremony of it?
Yeah, actually the guests are part of the ceremony, but not part of the serving. So this is kind of a Japanese culture. We didn't have a potluck culture. The bringing, serving. So if you're hosting, you're serving the guests. Guests have nothing to do, so you just relax and sit. So your job is to receive. Yeah. So it's kind of sometimes difficult for Japanese people to receive, because we want to give and give and give and then serve. But it's a good practice, just sitting there and then receiving. When you are practicing tea, you do both sides. So when you're practicing tea, the first practice is just sitting and then learning how to receive for a year or two. So you don't get to serve. But now the tradition is changing, because not younger generation, they don't have patience. So just sitting and waiting and then learning how to receive is not, yeah, exactly, not fun. So the teacher has to think, okay, I have to teach serving, otherwise everybody's get bored. Yeah, we need a green tea app. Good idea. Yes.
That would serve quicker that way.
Yeah, that would, yeah.
One more question. Is this high tea that they do in these restaurants, is that Japanese or is that?
I don't think so. Once it's called high tea, it's usually English. Yeah. So the Japanese tea, it's not really open for public because it's a practice. And but at our temple, we open it up so people can just experience the cultural part and also the spiritual practice part, or as a meditation. And then most of the time, doing a meditation by yourself is not easy. You know, it's simple. It's just sit and then quiet your mind, but it's not easy, right? So it's something to just first level of meditation. You can have the tea as a guide. So that's what we're trying to do. And then sometimes we do a tea ceremony outside in the nature. So you'll really be in the nature. We go to a Fair Oaks Bluff above the river, yeah. And then they sing the stars, moons, sometimes with the confection. Yeah, and the cherry blossom is the big one. We go to a park. Yeah. Bell Coolidge Park has the beautiful cherry blossom. That's the only place actually in Sacramento that there are rows of cherry blossom, mature trees. So we pack our bento box and then with tea. So we have the bento box and then tea under the cherry blossom. And this year we did it during the daytime, but last year we did at the nighttime. Both, it was beautiful. Yeah, so if you interested in those events, you can put your email on the list, or you can take the brochure at the entrance. Any questions? Good. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, thank you. So Usato clothings are in the annex, and then I will be there too. And then it's all hand spun, hand woven, and then natural plant dye from Laos and Thai. And there is a short video you can watch how it's made and who are making them. And designer is a Japanese Usaburo. So he brought the tradition back to the Thai and Laos villages who have been doing this weaving for over many years. So just go in and look at it and then feel it. If you can, just pick a clothes and wear it, because it's totally different look when you're wearing it than just looking at it. And I want to feel the energy of the clothes. It's amazing energy, yeah. Okay, thank you.